I'm Tyler Austin from Gungnir Strategic. Thank you so much for watching. A little while back ago, I released a video on ready positions versus movement positions. And I did that in the context of a rifle. And a few days ago, I got a question from one of my patrons, thank you to my Patreon supporters, on ready positions and movement positions in regards to a pistol, if there are any differences. And for the most part, there are not really any differences. The general definitions between the two remain the same, whether it's with a pistol or a rifle. However, with a pistol, because it is a handgun, and therefore being just more maneuverable, there are a few more positions you could add to the list, particularly when it comes to movement and safety positions. Ready positions are going to remain pretty much the same. You're going to have your basic three, which is going to be some form of low ready, high ready, and compressed ready, which for a pistol is going to look something along the lines of this. So those are really going to still remain the same. There's not really any other ready positions with a pistol. However, for movement positions, there are a few more. You're still going to have your general high port or something along these lines. Again, it can be a little bit different depending on how you're moving with the pistol, or low port, which is going to be, again, something like this, again, depending on how exactly you like to hold the pistol and how you're moving with it and so forth, but some form of low port. However, there are a few other ones. The biggest, or the most popular one, I should say, is going to be Sewell, all right, which is going to be something along the lines of this, which is basically just a form of low port. This is a very popular position, probably, honestly, just because it has a cool name. But regardless, this is another movement position. You would really only use this to move around safely with people. This is not really a good position otherwise. I'm not really a big fan of this position because if I'm going to go here, I'm just probably going to keep my hand on the gun, my support hand on the gun, that is, and just go into some form of low port. I don't really see a big benefit to the Sewell position. Some people disagree. Some people really like it. Regardless, this is another form or another version of a movement position with a pistol. Another really popular one that I like a little bit more is going to be some form of temple index, which is going to be something like this, where you put it, some people advocate that you actually literally touch your head or your helmet, depending on what you're wearing or not wearing, or some people just keep it out like this. Doesn't really matter for the context of this video, but either way, some form of temple index. I personally kind of like this position for moving around people. It really keeps that muzzle out of the way, because with pistols in particular, because their handguns are a lot shorter and so forth, and they're a lot more maneuverable. Number one, you have a little bit more freedom with how you move the pistol as opposed to a rifle. And because it's a lot smaller, it's a lot easier to become, I guess you could say, negligent and less aware of where that muzzle is pointing. So I personally do like temple index, or some sort of like version of this, which is basically just another version of high port, really, for moving around people. I personally kind of like it. But again, this is really only a movement position. That's it. If you are, this is certainly not a ready position. It's a movement and safety position. I only use this to move around people. That's it. If I'm in some sort of position where I might go hands-on with somebody, or there could potentially become a fight over this pistol, this is not the position to be in, because A, the muzzle is far away from where I would want it to be. I pointed to where that person might be. But on top of this, if a fight does happen and I go hands-on with somebody like this, I am basically, for those of you who do jiu-jitsu, I'm basically putting myself into what would be an Americana. Right? Someone could easily get a hold of this pistol or my wrist and really jack my shoulder up, especially if they know what they're doing. They could definitely apply a shoulder lock there, and it's just not a good position to be in. So again, context-wise, there's nothing wrong with temple index as long as it's used properly, just like any other movement or ready position. All right, it's all about context and how it's used. And when it's used appropriately, personally, I do like temple index. And another big one is going to be some form of holster index. This is primarily going to apply with just outside the waistband holsters, like on a duty belt or whatever. There's different ways that people teach this. Some people just pin it and just index it right on the outside of the holster like this. So this would be a holster index. Some people teach to actually partially insert the pistol into the holster and move around people like this. I do like this one too. I use it occasionally, not as much as this, but I do like this one too. Personally, I don't do this. I just partially insert it back into the holster. if I'm being honest, I don't mind actually fully seeing the holster too, fully seeing the pistol back into the holster too. It's just, I find this more convenient. I don't actually have to hold the gun anymore, less tiring. So I could just put this right back in, move where I need to move, and then take the pistol back out when needed. So this is another good movement and safety position as well. So those are really the big ones. Just in terms of movement positions, you have a few more options with a pistol just because it's smaller and more maneuverable. You can more easily hold it in one hand too. With that, pistols can be a little bit more complicated and a little bit less safe, particularly with people who aren't as experienced with moving around people with firearms because they're smaller, shorter, and it's a lot easier to lose track of where that muzzle is pointing. And this is where you see a lot of people unknowingly flagging others they shouldn't be flagging, simply because small, easy to lose track of where that muzzle is pointing. Anyways, that's all I really have to say on that. Thank you so much to the person who asked the question, one of my Patreon viewers. If you'd like to join my Patreon, links down in the description below, of course. Hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm Tyler Austin from Gungnir Strategic. Thank you so much for watching.